Hello, welcome to my studio and welcome to this video. Today I wanted to talk about some works in progress and what I'm currently thinking about the work that I'm creating. So I have been working on some acrylic paintings that currently look a little bit like this, but they didn't start looking like that. And actually they are so far away from where I thought they were going to be. So when I started painting, I had actually some quite clear ideas in mind. But once the paint was on the paper and the sort of journey of the painting began, I took a really very definite pivot on the path. So I started off with the intention that the paintings were going to be inspired by this sort of set of quick paintings, studies that I had completed. I really loved this kind of blue, white, pink colourway. And these were the sort of inspiration, the starting points, these smaller test pieces really, samples that I was working on. And I thought I'd try and translate some of the colours that I was really enjoying, the blue and the white, into these bigger paintings. And they started that way and I was kind of going along that path. And then it became really clear to me that although I loved those blue and white colours, I wanted more depth and more contrast and more richness. So this is a sketchbook from 2022, and I really think that looking back through this sketchbook was the turning point in those paintings. Looking at some of these pages here really encouraged me to take a change of direction with the paintings that I'm working on. I look back through this sketchbook and there are a couple of pages and a couple of things in it that really just spoke to me and excited me. And this page here, I was really liking this kind of dark bluey green background and the way it made some of the interior sort of flowers and shapes pop. So I was really spotting that, and also looking at some of the shapes and compositions in these pages here. I was really loving these kind of unusual shapes with the vase. The compositions here with a very dark background and the lighter, more detailed line work within these sort of shapes. And seeing these pages and sort of tuning into what I was finding interesting here, I think was the catalyst for me making quite a dramatic change on the blue and white paintings. It sort of encouraged me to be a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more high contrast with some of my colour choices, and add in a little bit of depth into the paintings. And I often do that, and you'll probably heard me talking about it a lot, that midway through a painting I will have a look back through sketchbooks, and it can really point me in a different direction and send me on a completely different path with a painting, and my intention then gets kind of, chucked out the window and a whole new thing appears. So I just did quite a bold move and added in a lot of really this rich kind of mossy green, which I created by mixing some phthalo green and some blue until I got this really lovely dark colour. And just adding in that colour changed the direction of these paintings. So these paintings are not finished. They are still very much works in progress, but they are edging towards the end. Sometimes it's useful for me just to kind of clarify where I think the painting is. So it's definitely in the end stages, but I still want to add more detail, finesse some things, tighten up a few areas. I think I'm going to add in some gold paint. I think this dark, rich green would really pop with a little bit of gold detailing. So that is my current plan with these paintings. But it was just so interesting to me that I had an idea of where I thought they were going. In the painting process, it's a little bit like the painting takes on a life of its own. And then my sort of, intentions and ideas meet the reality of what's on the page. And just trying to be in the moment and responding to what is on the page and the paint and what I feel would be the best next manoeuvre, and not being too wedded to a fantasy idea of what the paintings might be, and actually being much more in reality of what is really in front of me and responding to the paint and the page and the painting and thinking, what does the painting need? Not what does my kind of fantasy idea of what the painting should be dictate how the painting develops. With these paintings, I've been really kind of slow and enjoying the slowness and the unfurling and the developing of the painting, and not trying to rush to an end point, just allowing the kind of paintings to become. So I've been coming back to them day after day and just adding a little bit, or changing a little bit here, or adding a different colour, or adding a different layer. It's been a really lovely experience. I've really enjoyed painting them. It was so different from where I was setting out to be, and I think I quite like that. That's quite fun, isn't it? It's really like you're following a path and then you take a different turn, you take a different, bend in the road, and your painting ends up in a completely different place, or you end up in a completely different place. And I think that's exciting. I like that. I like the journey metaphor for paintings, that we set out with, an idea of where we think we might be going, but actually along the way, the journey takes you to a completely different, exciting place that you never thought you would get to. And they're acrylic paint on paper, and one of the things I really enjoy about acrylic paint is you can build up layers of interest and depth and richness, and so just kind of adding paint on top of paint. And for me, I really enjoy that kind of painterly quality of the page, and just the sort of hidden depths and some of the things underneath other things, and I just find that really visually pleasing.